Hey guys, what's up? It's me here, Jawad the Dragon, and welcome back to another video. So today we are actually reacting to detransitioning. She regrets the transitioning from female to male. So yes, 3, 2, 1, here we go.
I was born biologically female. I began transitioning and taking hormones when I was 18 years old.
When she was 18, she started taking hormones and all of that stuff because she thought that she was a man when she was born as a girl.
Growing up, I couldn't pinpoint what my issues were, and then I realized that it might be a gender issue.
So, this is a lot of normal stuff that I've seen everywhere where people think that, they cannot find an issue with them. So they think that there is a gender issue. I'm not going to try and stop this video every single 5 seconds. So I'm just going to play this part out for you now.
When I turned 18, I did go to Planned Parenthood. I just stated that I had gender dysphoria and they gave me testosterone a week later. Before I went on hormone therapy, I wasn't required to see any therapist or any sort of a doctor at all. So about a year and a half after I was on hormones, I decided to see a therapist about getting approval for top surgery. I walked in on one appointment for half an hour, and then she emailed my insurance for approval, just like that. Even at this point, when I was passing as a man, I still had these doubts in the back of my mind that said, what if you're wrong? What if you made a mistake? In the end, I decided not to do the surgery. At that point that I decided to detransition and live my life as a woman again. Even as an adult, it took me a long time to figure out who I was and who I wanted to be. Kids especially need to see a therapist before making any sort of permanent medical decisions, like going on hormone blockers, and surgeries especially. I mean, they don't even know what they want for dinner the next day, let alone what gender they are. The biggest mistake that I made was that I did not get the right amount of therapy or medical advice needed. These days, if you tell a parent if their child thinks that they might be transgender or has gender dysphoria to wait and really consider it and maybe seek other therapy, you're just seen as transphobic now because you're not accepting people. I'm not anti-trans at all. I support the trans community very much, but I also support medical responsibility.
So there we go, a short intro to everything. Now, when she was actually going to get a top surgery, she didn't actually go to any kind of, psychologist or something like that, which was the main issue. Now, here's the thing. If you think that you should have been born a man and you were born a girl and now surgery is gonna fix that, trust me, nothing is gonna fix that. And this is a common theme that I've seen with people who are transitioning, saying that, hey, I actually thought that I was all along a man and I was born as a girl. So now I'm gonna transfer myself from a girl to a man, which it's not possible. Now if you go back in 2014 and you told somebody that, hey, I'm a man and I think I should have been born a girl, they would have slapped the shit out of you, to be honest, because back then people actually had something known as a brain. Nowadays people don't actually have a brain. So that's why, they tend to be like, oh, do whatever you guys want to. There's nothing that can stop you. You're 18 now, so you can do anything that you want. Mind you, an 18-year-old is not an adult. Even me being at 23 years old, I still take bad decisions. To this day, I take bad decisions. And, I'm saying this when I'm 23 years old. So imagine somebody who's 18, like they cannot really comply with all of that. They cannot be like, oh, I'm gonna go and see a therapist, because at 18 you're still a kid. Like, in my mind, you're still a kid at 18. You cannot do life decisions at the age of 18. And it's just, normally I would put it on parents, because if you had a father figure in your life, then you wouldn't have these kind of thoughts that I should have been born a man but I was born as a girl. And this plays a huge part in you being mentally unstable and then going on drugs to keep it numbed down. So that's the main reason why I think so, that if you think that you were born a man and you were born a girl, I think so going to a therapist is much better than doing surgery that cannot be reversed. Now, this girl had done top surgery. I don't think so that is reversible, and now she has to live like that for the rest of her life. And mind you, she's not even like, I don't even think so she's like that old. She's like maybe 25 or 30 years old, or maybe around that. It's just crazy that you would think that surgery is gonna fix something. Trust me, surgery is not gonna fix and original stuff. They say old is gold because, like let's just say you bought an original Mustang, from the 1964, and then there's a copycat of that same Ford Mustang. Nothing can beat that original stuff, right? So that is what I'm trying to explain here. But never mind, let's just continue on.
If you question this at all, you get labeled really quickly, correct?
You do, immediately as transphobic.
I mean, like she looks great here. She does look great. I'm not gonna lie. Life decisions, man. There are some decisions that you need to make in order, that would make you or break you. And she does look great here. Let's move on.
Why do you think that is? I think that a lot of the transgender community, they push so much for acceptance that when you immediately, or anytime you start to question them, even if it's out of the goodness of your heart to try and make sure that they're making the right decision, anything that goes against their narrative is just immediately labeled as transphobic.
I mean, I do agree with that. It's just kind of like you cannot argue with these people. These people have brains that are like the size this big. They have brains that are this big. They disagree with everything that you have to say. And I'm not saying it because I've spoken with some people, and they just rush you with stuff. They don't listen to you. In an argument, you have to accept the fact that you will be disrespected and you will lose. You have to accept that fact. But, the LGBTQ community, they're like, no, we are perfect. We are perfect.
That after you started to transition, how else did you begin to change your life to live as a man? I had changed my name. I started wearing a binder. I even moved cities because at the time I was very, hesitant to actually come out to coworkers. So I moved about 4 hours away, got a completely different job, and introduced myself as a trans man.
So here's the thing. It doesn't matter how many surgeries you do. If biologically you were born a female, then you can never beat men. I don't know how this simple concept, I don't know how people cannot get this simple concept. It's not just possible to beat something that is original. It's just not possible. People think that doing surgery is gonna fix them. It's not gonna fix you. It is not gonna fix you, not even 1%.
Okay. And what happened when you began to schedule time to get a double mastectomy?
I haven't had any top surgeries, but I did get approved for it.
Okay, that's what it is. You got approved for it.
I got approved. And how that worked, it was scarily easy to do because I had just called a therapist, and I had scheduled one appointment, for a 30-minute session to talk about it. And I essentially walked in, I said, I identify as transgender and I want to get top surgery.
And we chatted for a bit, maybe for half an hour, and at the end of the session, she wrote me an approval letter to send to my insurance, and then I got approved just like that.
The stuff is really easy. Here's the thing. Now, when you go to a doctor, you have to get all of these surgeries, which are really expensive. And because these surgeries are really expensive, they have to get an approval from your insurance. Now, doctors, if you go to them for a problem, of course they're not gonna fix it. But if you go to them for a problem, for a surgery, it's a huge deal. But nowadays they're just hey, we just need cash. We don't need anything else. We just need your cash, and that's it. And that is the main thing that they actually want. How do I say this? Cash is what makes you crazy, And relatively, because she was trying to get a surgery, she said that it was really easy. A 30-minute session with a therapist is not enough to tell if you're mentally stable or not. Now, if you have somebody around you that is oh, I'm a girl, I should have been born a man, or I'm a man, I should have been born a girl, then you should talk to them. I don't think so that you should let anybody make decisions. I mean, big decisions, cutting off their body parts. I don't think so anybody should be making that decision to cut off their body parts. It is just it's just out of my mind how people get this mentally unstable. I mean, I do get that you get depressed and stuff like that, but to be this mentally unstable is just something else.
When you first started, you went in, you said to Planned Parenthood.
Yes.
And they gave you testosterone immediately.
Yeah, I essentially just made a phone call and said, I want to transition. And it was immediately given. I got a prescription and went to pick it up a week later.
I mean, so she went there when she was 18. She said that I want to transition. And they were here's some testosterone. Put this in your body and come back to us after a few weeks. And, it's just so crazy. And these are real stories. Like it's just not they're not even fake. These are real stories. And it's just crazy how people just do this kind of stuff. It's just, I mean, for me it's like very difficult to understand, because maybe my parents raised me to be a man, to be a proper man. For these people, that live outside in the US and stuff like that, they have full responsibility to what they do to their bodies and stuff like that. So they just basically, do whatever they want.
Did they ask you questions? Did they do any psychological testing? Did they ask you why? What was your motive? It was completely self-diagnosed.
It was completely self-diagnosed. I mean, just imagine that now. They were just like, she went into a clinic and she was like, I need to be a man. And they were like, take this testosterone. This is going to be this surgery. It's going to be this much. Let me get an approval from your insurance. And then you can get all of this stuff. It's just crazy how easy they've made all of this stuff to be. You do all of this stuff just to make yourself feel better. And to be honest, it's not going to make you feel better. Even if you transition from a woman to a man and you start looking the part of a man's world is a different thing. Trust me on this, guys. A man's world is a completely different thing than, what these people describe. A biological female can never compete in a man's world. It's not just not possible. Call me a hypocrite if you guys want to, but it's not just possible.
Well, self-diagnosed, I claimed that I had gender dysphoria and I wanted to transition, and they didn't really ask me any questions about it. I just called them and I said, when can I get this? And they just said they needed to write me a prescription for it and send it. And that's if he had no proofs that I never saw dysphoria that you didn't. Yeah, I didn't talk to anyone about it. Nobody medically professionally. I had just looked up. I did some trans research, I guess, into the transgender community and everybody online, and they just seemed so happy and successful enough at the time. I didn't see any information on
I mean, let's just look at the guy Dylan Mulvaney. I've been talking about that guy for a long time now. Now, that guy hasn't even transitioned. Like, he hasn't done any surgeries or anything like that, but he still calls himself a girl. They are all rich and successful because nowadays TV news or news reporters don't want to call them out, or they will lose their jobs as well. That is why everybody is so successful in the trans community, and they're so happy because nobody's gonna call them out. Nobody's gonna call them out all their BS that they are doing. And people like Dylan Mulvaney have already messed this up a lot. And according to this girl, this was all self-diagnosed. Like, she didn't go to a medical professional. She didn't go to anybody that could have helped her really, and told her that she was born a girl and that is how it should be. She just found some videos on the internet and she was like, oh, all of these people are happy after doing their own surgeries, so maybe I'll be happy doing my surgeries.
Transition or any the negatives about it. And so I kind of got completely wrapped into that. Gender dysphoria should be a miserable way to live if that's what they're experiencing. And there are criteria for that. And one of the criteria is time, that is persistent across time. But you didn't have any of those criteria. You didn't demonstrate that. You didn't document that. You didn't have any professional that documented that. No.
You see, this is how you get trapped. So you see videos online, you think that you're a man, and then you get influenced. And as soon as you get influenced, and now since you are 18, and you can do anything you want because legally you're an adult. So when you're 18, you can do anything that you want. Just think how crazy is that? It's just mind-boggling to me.
You said I want testosterone, they gave it to you. Yeah, I had confused, because I had become uncomfortable with how society had seen me as a woman sexually, and I had confused that and being uncomfortable with my gender as gender dysphoria and being uncomfortable with my body. If I didn't actually have gender dysphoria, I had just confused myself into thinking that I did.
I mean, that is how it basically works. You think that, you're somebody else, something else happens, you make a dumb decision, and before you know it, you have made such bad decision that you can't even go back now. Now, I think so that concludes this video. If you guys didn't make it to the end of the video, thank you so much for watching, guys. This is it for now. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, guys. Peace out.